welcome to the Sportsline Podcast. It's August 1st, and holy Mackinac, crazy hot in Southern Ontario. Folks, for years, the Golden Horseshoe has produced outstanding athletes, teams, broadcasters, entrepreneurs, and in today's case, a former football player whose favorite sport is now basketball. Born and raised in Hamilton, this individual is the perfect example of a local lad done good. From Cardinal Newman High School, McMaster University, and on the football field with the Tiger Cats and Argonauts. Boo. Mike Morreale took the right road to getting the job done. He's also a wonderful example that would tell you straight up, when one door opens, another will also open. From big business, restaurant ownership, broadcasting, and even selling private airplanes. We're going to get into that. Welcome to the Commissioner of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Mike Morreale, great to have you. I was thinking, and we were discussing just before we went on air, you were one of the original first week guys, and now we're well over 100. So, again, thanks for coming back for the second time.
My pleasure, and congratulations. That's awesome. That's a big deal.
That certainly is a big deal, and as I said on the 100th, I kind of had my doubts a little bit. I don't know why, but I mean, you start to put together, and now I'm getting to the point where, like, I want on, and this is so great, and it goes to show you, and you would know this as well as anyone, our area is, exactly I said off the top, just loaded full of just wonderful sports people.
Well, it's ripe with not only athletes, but every aspect of the sports industry, and that's it's great that you get a chance to celebrate them. It really is, and you think at 100, there's many more to come. I'm thankful and gracious to be back once again. I appreciate it, but I've always felt that this city and the surrounding areas have produced incredible talent both on and off the court.
Got to get to it right away. For those that did not see your episode, the fact that your transition from the football field had many challenges and channels, but prior to you landing a job with the Canadian Elite Basketball League, the commissioner, you're selling airplanes?
I'm telling you, when I took that job, and it just by chance, it was a gentleman that I worked with in another business, and he was working at this company. I'm like, oh, I'm going to meet some pretty cool people in this job, I said to my wife, and lo and behold, the very first person I met and deal that I did turned out to be the founder of the CEBL. And it to me, it was like instant karma, right? It just happened. He recognized me from Toronto, which is rare. He's a Mississauga guy, and we just befriended each other, and that friendship turned into a business relationship, and then an idea that turned into what we're living out right now. So it's amazing how this world works. But that was a pretty cool gig, I'm not going to lie to you.
There's a huge lesson there, folks. Like, I mean, that's what can happen in life, the way, as you said, the things and the threads that we weave, and sometimes how they all become connected, and what can become, your future right now. And let's talk about the right now. The Canadian Elite Basketball League. I'm sure you had your projections, your dreams, your thoughts, and what it would turn out to be, but it has to be excelling where you are. I guess 6 years in now?
6 years or 6th season right now.
Like, this has to be blowing away what your expectations were.
Yeah, I mean, I had high expectations, right? Because you got to continue to set those dreams just out of reach and those goals just out of reach. But to be quite honest, if you throw in 2 years of COVID, when we were it was March of 2020, my expectations were really low when there's COVID on the horizon, and what are we going to do? And it was just survival mode at that point. But we fundamentally have continued to do, very strong things and stuck to the game plan and improve year after year. And it's the rising tide lifts all boats too. You look at the trajectory of Canadian basketball in general, the Olympics, what currently ongoing, the strength of the men's team and the 3X and women's, etc. It's a good time to be in basketball. We're really excited that we created almost a basketball ecosystem within our four walls, and it's not just on the court, it's off the court, everybody related to the game of basketball. And we really, when you look from coast to coast, and the Raptors are so big here, but they don't resonate necessarily the same way in Saskatoon or Edmonton or Calgary. They want their own. They want something to cheer on for themselves. And it started with Drake showing up at a game several years ago. To they just becoming normal. And, you look at the court side of any given game, You have Jamal Murray, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Dylan Brooks, you name it. They just show up. They show up because they want to be there. They know the players on the court. They love basketball, and I'm happy. Mm-hmm. I am excited about the future because I know where we can go, and but I never get it too far ahead of myself. I mean, at least publicly. Behind the scenes, I certainly do.
For
but
sure.
I don't do a lot of pats on the back because I look at, okay, it's a lot more work to be done. We're not there yet, and we need to get better in these areas, but we're constantly improving, and it's exciting to see.
First things first, have you cleared up your beef with Drake?
Me and Drake are good. Oh, yeah, he came after me early. For those that don't know, Scarborough lost in the last-second shot against Hamilton a few years ago, and then he called out the CBL and put my picture. So my mom, of all people, who I had no idea if she has Instagram, she's like, "Oh my God, Drake said something mean about you." I'm like, "Mom, if Drake says anything about me, that's a good thing. Just remember that. It does not matter." So we rolled with that, and it was like, at that moment in time, I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And but yeah, it's been a heck of a ride.
Are you enjoying being the commissioner?
I love it. Now, there's different aspects to my job as commissioner. Mm-hmm. There is my role in moving the league forward in the strategy and vision, which is incredible. And then there's discipline and basketball and competition, and I love it, but it's intense at times. Being a commissioner is no joke. Just ask Randy Ambrosi or any other commissioner in any other league. Mm-hmm. There are things that you have to be very stringent on, and there's sometimes where people don't like your decisions, but you do them in the interest of continuing to improve the game and moving the game forward, and at the same time I have a lens on the future of the league. So I love it. It's intense at moments. It will be intense these next 10 days or so with our playoffs starting and championship weekend starting. Mm-hmm. But I love my role. I really do, because it's important that I have a very good understanding of the whole business in my seat and can make those decisions in the best interest of the game.
You just said it there, whole business. And the fact that we see in sports many times that's just the ownership, and the league, and then the players. I would believe that your years as the president of the Canadian Football League Association has really helped balance that out for you.
Very much so. And the way we started as a single entity, meaning, Richard Petco, the gentleman I talked about selling the plane to off the top, with one single owner and him giving me the leeway to do whatever I want and to make decisions and to, turn on a dime, to play through COVID, to add the target score ending, to do things that are unconventional, let's say. Those things really created the fundamentals. So now that we've grown, and the business now includes many owners at the team level who are also shareholders of the league, things become more complex, but they also become way better in many ways. These people are investing heavily into their teams, into the league. The league is growing because of it. It adds complexities because now there's not a single decision maker. There's many people, right. But the players are the biggest, most important asset of what we do. And because I played, I have a lens, remove the ball, whatever it is, or puck, it doesn't matter. Players are very similar in how they approach things and what's important to them. So every decision I've made and continue to make has a player-first lens on it. Because they are fundamentally what makes everything tick. And I really like to engage with the players. I like to be visible so they know who I am. A lot of them DM me directly, good, bad, and otherwise about things. But it's how I learn and I'm able to speak their language, so to speak. And yeah, that player component is incredible. And that really comes from not only playing, but be able to build it from the ground up. So you build in those player-first ways of thinking that are beneficial. NBA Summer League, for instance, players that sign with us, if they have an opportunity to play in NBA Summer League or NBA tryouts, we let them go. Like, we don't hold them back with their contracts. We celebrate them going. If they never come back and they go to the NBA, awesome. And if they do, they just add way more value to what we're doing. So, yeah, certainly the players are fundamentally key to what we do.
One of the discussions you and I had, and this goes back a couple of years, I think in more so the early couple years of the league and its exposure, and I'm getting some reaction and compliments, I think, from others that are watching your league. And I think the key word is watching. Mm-hmm. And at the time, there just wasn't a lot of availability at seeing the games right now. But your agreement with TSN, I think, just has taken things to the next level.
Yeah, it certainly has. We started with CBC, and they were an excellent partner the first 3 years. They gave us the broad exposure across the whole country, but they're not a sports channel. They're an Olympics channel, but they're not. You don't go there to watch sports. You go there to watch Agatha Christie or something, more often than not. So that's no knock on it, but we needed to get on a sports network, and there's two of them, as we know. And the importance of being on TSN is the commitment they've made to us, but also the fact that now we are seen in a different light. We're seen as a roster of many leagues and teams that they have within their channels, all of high quality. We've invested in broadcast and the production, so it's high level. So if you're flipping through the channels and you see a game, you may not know if that's an NBA game or not. You're going to pause for a minute, and then you might hear Chuck Swirsky's voice and be like, "Oh, just wait a second, what's going on here?" So all those little pieces, hiring Dan Gladman as our executive producer, who was a legend in that, and a Raptors legend in the whole playoff and championship run, and to have the qualified people we have sitting behind the desk commentating and the camera angles and all that stuff, it really enhances who we are. And I think what I've noticed, and it's anecdotal in many ways, but more people are aware of the CEBL. They may or may not have watched a game, but they've heard of us. Or they've seen a game and they've tuned in, they've been impressed. And I see it because I read comments and I see everything that happens, and I talk to lots of people. So that getting to a mass fandom or mass interest, you can feel it. You can really feel it from coast to coast, and it just proves we're on our way.
Dan Gladman, a guy that I came up with at Sportsnet again, and he was a basketball visionary way back in the day. I'm talking about our first couple years at Sportsnet, and to see him go on to do the things that he did with the Raptors in terms of their broadcast and even doing some own little shows that he did, I knew once you guys latched onto him, I'm like, okay, this is like taking it to a whole new level. And it's great to, as you said Chuck Swirsky, but the Rod Black, like you have reputable people and then reputable analysts. And like as you said, it's really hard now to flip. You said it perfectly, and you're going flip. You're like, the NBA season is not, and then you're like, whoa. But that leads to my next comment is that. And we struggle with this in the Canadian Football League. You know this. You turn on an Argonauts game sometimes, and you see the football, and you and I know that the CFL football is a great brand to watch. But sometimes for the people that are still trying to learn the game, when you see the empty seats, it's tough. And you're like, well, no one's there watching it. Why do I want to watch this? People are in your stadiums right now watching ball. It's a whole new generation out there.
It really is, and we're not perfect. There are markets that need to continue to improve, and then there's markets that are on fire, absolute fire. And the way, the intimacy of the basketball court and the stands, and how we, take a hockey arena and convert it into a basketball, arena, is you have to be smart about it. But you're right. Empty seats are empty seats. So we can have 9 cameras. Some of them are going to catch those empty seats if there's no one in them. So the importance of putting on, first impressions are huge. So in arena and at home. So when somebody's flipping through and they see a packed house and it's loud, and you recognize voices, and the quality of the game is excellent, and the camera angles are good, and you got replays and close-ups, that all builds onto itself. So a lot of that comes from the very beginning. So the very beginning, we created very high brand standards, and a lot of parity from a basketball perspective, even a look and feel across the league, and we've really upheld that. And we do a lot of recruitment based off of our Instagram and social media and our games, right, and our CBL Plus platform. So we create a lot of content that's compelling, and we're just highlighting what's happening. Like it's the players that make it work.
That's the best part of it, I think. And I think I have some markets, like, tell me what's going on in Winnipeg.
Oh, my goodness. Everything. It is...
like Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. And I get that a lot. And, they're very good at supporting their own. I think we've seen that certainly in the CFL. The Jets, maybe lately, they've been struggling. But that's also an indication that there are other opportunities in Winnipeg, like the CBL, like the Sea Bears, that have captured the attention of a lot of fans. So... they average just shy of 9,000 fans this year. That's crazy for Canadian basketball. Who would have thought it? And they've had over 11,000, and Calgary started the year with over 12,000 at the Saddle Dome. One thing that we really have going for us in Winnipeg is playing at Canada Life Centre, right? You walk into a professional building of that standard and you're already elevated in the way that the game is going to look and going to feel. And then it continues onto the court. And if you're sitting in that game or you're watching on TV, you'd think you're at an NBA game. And I'm not just saying that. It is legitimately.
Check it out.
It is an intensity that flows down to the players. Good for the home team, tough for the opposing team because it gets loud and the fans understand their basketball. And I can say that about many of our markets where it's gone from people just showing up to watch a game to showing up to watch their home team.
Right.
That's the conversion that's taken place while still getting and adopting new fan bases and new people coming.
Will you have an agreement with the new building in Calgary?
So the idea is that the Saddle Dome has reached out to us to get more games there. They're still going to be around 3 or 4 more years. So I think our local team there is going to actively pursue that, as we'll do that in Edmonton and do that in Vancouver and other major markets. Unfortunately, had this been planned a little bit better, there's a community rink being built in Calgary, but it's only going to be about 1,000 or 1,500. So had that been closer to 5 or more, that would have been a perfect home. But I think our collaboration within all the markets and the understanding that we are a premium product and we play at a time of year when dates are really key for those buildings, that I expect there'll be a lot more relationships in those big arenas.
As you said, this is a big couple of weeks for you right now. Championship weekend, Montreal, the city of Montreal.
Not a bad place, eh?
Do I need to say any more? This was well planned.
This was well planned. There's been great fandom in Montreal. It's obviously a great place. There's a festival every day, it looks like, in the summer, and they have a tremendous arena that's not a Canada Life Centre NHL arena. It's an old barn that's been converted, but it is loud and it is intense, and it feels like the home team's place, right? There's a real advantage to being there. Obviously, with the music and the festivals and the sports and everything that goes on, especially in the summer in Montreal, it really will be a magical place here in another week or so.
So tell me about the setup here for Montreal and what will happen.
So the events will start on the Wednesday, go through to Sunday. The games will be a doubleheader on Friday, and then the championship game on the Sunday. We'll have our award show on Thursday. We have coaches' breakfast, commissioners' breakfast, a bunch of events on the Thursday. Friday, of course, the doubleheaders with a festival down around the arena where you'll watch local DJs, and it's right on the beach. So there's actually a beach 2 yards from the arena doors, and there's basketball courts. We'll have some battles on the court, both with young minor basketball, both with celebrities. We'll have a concert series, after party, and of course some stuff for to celebrate hopefully Canada being in the finals in the Olympics on that Saturday. Oh, wow. So we've kind of lucked out. You have almost every day there's something going on with Canadian basketball in mind, and basketball lends itself certainly to the music and life and lifestyle and culture and fashion and food, and we're going to ramp that up for championship weekend.
I've always said that's the difference between the NBA and the NHL and Major League Baseball, is that they do integrate that, and I think it attracts that younger crew that is so important to get right now. Now, to get to championship weekend, there's the play-in weekend, and we got 4 big teams that really want to get there in a hurry. Yeah, starting this Friday, you're going to get the play-in matchups where really are the quarterfinals for each conference. It starts Friday night in Scarborough. Ottawa's going to travel to Scarborough. That's a great place to watch a game. Very intense, very different than a lot of our venues. Scarborough will be building their own purpose-built facility, which will be the first one in the country. Oh, really? That should break ground in a couple months. But that'll be a highly contested game. The winner of that game will meet Niagara on Sunday. So Niagara's got the top spot in the East, and they're going to battle it out. And the winner of that game on Sunday will meet Montreal as the host in Montreal on Friday night. And if you flip over to the Western Conference,
games. It'll be a big battle between Winnipeg going to Calgary on Friday, and then the winner of that will meet Edmonton on Sunday. Right. The winner of that game between Edmonton and either Calgary or Winnipeg will meet Vancouver on Friday for the semifinals or the conference finals for the West in Montreal.
So as we see, we have Montreal as the host. As you said, Edmonton, they will be playing one of the play-in teams as well, too. Let's talk a little bit about what we have in our own area, and which area you know very well, the River Lions, the champions of the Eastern Conference. Victor Raza really put together a good team this year, and they really played well.
Vic has done, there's a couple teams in our league, I'll say Edmonton and Niagara have done a really good job being very consistent year over year. Niagara has had or tries to retain as much talent as possible. They look to attract a certain type of player that's coming there to work on fundamentals, work hard. So Vic has a really good handle on the type of player he wants that'll fit within his system, and they've been consistently very strong. They have been hit or miss come playoff time. I think that's been the one knock. So the only way to fix that is to go out and win. And we'll see what happens on Sunday. But, if you go down to a River Lions game, first of all, it's arguably one of the best facilities in the country. In this area, it's tremendous. It's perfect size. The sight lines are great. You got suites. You get everything you need. You get all the technology you need to put on a great show. And they've kind of captured that little Niagara area. They're called Niagara for a reason, right? So they extend from Grimsby all the way to Fort Erie, and continued growth in that market is exciting to see.
Well, I love the way that they have the baskets go off, the bombs go off, and you're right. They did section off. The Meridian Center is a great multi-purpose arena, and the way they set that up with the fans, and it's just jammed in there. And again, we talk about when you see something and you see fans excited, you want to be a part of it.
Yes.
Making even better of it, undefeated at home.
Yeah, that's big. That 10-0 at home, that ain't easy. So they do have certainly the home court advantage. They're going to be facing either a up-and-coming Ottawa team if they're able to beat out Scarborough, or a really talented team of Scarborough that's very deep. And every time those teams get together, it is a battle. Both are highly talented. Both have very good Canadian talent. Both have very good American talent and deep benches. So what Niagara has to their advantage is that home field or home court advantage, and we'll see how it plays out.
Well, I hope it works out for them, because I think we need to see Niagara get over the top, because they've been knocking on the door for some time now. So we wish you good luck for the championship weekend. Folks, catch this stuff. It's really great basketball, great tournament style, and I think having it in Montreal was going to be awesome.
Yes.
As we look towards the future, we started up with 6 teams.
Started with 6 teams,
We're
2019.
Up to 10 teams now, making it the biggest Canadian sports league?
Yeah, it's the biggest domestic sports league. It's the fastest growing one. We have plans for expansion, which we're really excited about. We're going to continue to grow. There are markets out there that desperately want CBL basketball. We have uncovered we have priority markets, of course, and in certain cases we're on the way to that becoming a reality. In other cases we're just behind, but we're in close contact with individuals or groups that want to do what our other private owners have done, and that's take what we've created and just light it on fire and flourish.
Will there be anything for 2025?
There's still a possibility for 2025.
Oh, really?
We have notoriously been able to get things in order in time if we're even get into January, so there's still some runway there. There's not a rush unless it makes sense on both sides, but I think as you look towards 26, 27, certainly into 28, this team will likely be a 14 to 16 team league by that time. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
And again, the fact that everyone will be representative with their own home team. That's really important.
And the one thing that I think is fundamental to all this, which bring it back to the players, is the talent we have access to continues to grow and grow and grow.
They're finding out about isn't that another thing too?
The players tell each other, especially the European teams and overseas and these imports that are here, there, and everywhere. And in the G League, I mean, it spreads like wildfire. What we have now is a lack of roster spots, and then there's the Canadian talent, which is the backbone of what we do, and we're very proud of that. It's very CFL-esque, but we don't want to diminish Canadian talent. We want to enhance Canadian talent, right? And what's coming beneath us because of the Raptors and the championships and the bronze medal in the World Cup and hopefully another medal in the Olympics is another 30 or 40-year run of talent,
right?
Which brings more fans and more connections, and that is really, I think, what impresses us and gives us the most, lets me sleep at night knowing is that there's a pretty good runway ahead of us.
Tough question, Mike, and I know this is to your heart. It would be to my heart. Hamilton.
Yeah. So the reason we went to Hamilton in the first place is because I wanted a team in Hamilton. It was very important to me to be there. I would say we saw mild success in some cases. On the court, very good success. In the stands, not the success I would have wanted out the gate. It was growing year over year. We were playing in an antiquated facility that was not easy to get, or maybe people didn't want to get to. It didn't have the bells and whistles. The experience wasn't what it was like if you went to Niagara. Like, the disparity was incredible. So that being said, and now with the arena under construction, there is certainly a renewed interest in a return to Hamilton or this area. And I think it really comes down to, obviously when the building's finished and, whether the management of that building wants a basketball tenant. I know they are taking a music-first approach to it, which is great. And I think that's a great game plan. That music-first approach could play with Thursday, Friday, Saturday games, which for a sports team are your premium dates. So there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had, and it's too early now to have that, to publicly really announce anything. Sure. I want to have those discussions locally with OVG and people that are running the facility and with potential owners, but I believe it can work in a new, renewed facility with the continued growth of the league, the continued growth of basketball. And I will say this, I know there are more basketball fans in Hamilton that came out than what came out to our games. I know it. The history of basketball in this city is immense. And I think in some cases, because we were still in our infancy and we're playing in the bubble and we're just, I'm not sure, maybe it needed a couple, 2-3 more years. We just weren't granted that opportunity. But never say never, right? It obviously holds a special place in my heart.
And I'm glad to hear that, Mike, because I know it does mean something to you. I know this city means something to you. It always has. You have never hid from that.
Nope.
You've always said Hamilton first, all that kind of, it's been amazing that, because some people, they kind of forget maybe,
sure,
or,
yeah.
They move on to other things, which is fine. But you've always affixed Hamilton to your brand, which I think is a great thing. I know you don't want to go crazy here. We also hear of a new building that may be happening in Burlington.
Yeah.
Right?
That is on the table. Those are all on the table. Because if you look at Burlington, for instance, that's a Bay Area team that's going to capture Hamilton fans, Stony Creek fans, Milton fans, Oakville fans, Mississauga fans. Don't kid yourself. That's a darn good market. A little more affluential, right? Where they're proposing the new arena to be is easy access. It looks like an entertainment district and commercial district and residential district. Let's just say it's got me excited. Now, that is likely further away than a renovated Hamilton. So, we have some things to consider, I think, as the years go by.
Marianne Mead Ward.
Hey, give me a call.
Mike, this has been tremendous. I know you're doing a wonderful job with this league, and just the fact that you've got your sights focused on the future, like you said, always looking to achieve more. This league is busting out. Really looking forward to championship weekend, hoping for a Niagara win, obviously, as being a bit of a homer here. Continued success. Thanks for joining us on the Sportsline Podcast.
Thanks, Bubba. Listen, we go back a long way. This is great for the city, what you're doing, too, and I'm just blessed that I'm able to be on. Thanks for our friendship, and all the best to you as well.
All right, but thanks, my man. That's your Sportsline Podcast for the day, and as you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports with good folks. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline Podcast, want to hear from you. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. If you do have something to say, please comment. For the wonderful people that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, thank you so very much. And we'll see you tomorrow.